We got 3 heroes and they're all in trouble. NERDSoul. Late ill kid at OneYoungsta, hold it down, bring you that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. What is up, my people, today? Oh yeah, we coming with another wonderful episode of, that's right, On Screen NERDSoul here. We keep the hip hop, we keep geek, we put it together, and we're talking about episode 9 of a show that I have truly enjoyed this whole season, and that is Cloak and Dagger. Now, before I get things popping, I want to give a big shout out to Justin Beckford, my very first super chat. That was crazy. Very, very big shout out to you. And a notice to you guys, tomorrow night, I will be doing a live reaction after the finale of Cloak and Dagger. I've loved this show. I have really enjoyed the ride they've taken us on, a great slow burn. So after we can wrap up the season, the episode, see what we're thinking about future stuff, all that jazz. Plus I'll be live tweeting as well, so you know I'm gonna be holding it down for y'all. But let's put that to the side. We got an episode to get to. Let's talk about your girl O'Reilly, who is in a really tough spot right now. Just, you know, seeing her boyfriend pretty much in that way. You know, if she was told that it had happened, you know, that he was murdered or whatever, it may not have affected her the way it did, but to see it right there in front of her face, you know, him being beaten, bloody, and it was a horrible sight for her to see, and a lot for someone to deal with, especially after thinking you had, you know, such a high, you know, coming off of that, and now reaching such a low, and knowing that this is definitely much stronger, much deeper, and much more precise of a corruption plot inside of the police department than just Connors. You know what I'm saying? She probably thought, and just like I thought, like, yo, you get Connors out the way, everybody else will chill. But no, you gotta remember, man, whenever you have some kind of systemic something or some kind of culture anywhere, if you try to battle against it, even if you take out the head, all of the people that have benefited from what the head has put in place, in this case Connors, they are going to snap back at you. And in this case, Fuchs caught the worst of it because they probably figured, you know, you've been here longer, you were supposed to be on our side, not on hers. And to see her go through that journey of just pain, it hurt, you know, and it seemed very realistic for her character to not only be a fish out of water, you know, she's fresh from New York, and not really having any friends except these 2 kids, Tyrone and Tandy, that she's kind of met on a whim. And to think that, you know, like, hey, I'm doing a good thing, I you know, actually sort of won, I understand why she feels the way she does and why she took that bat and tried to attack Connors. When I saw it coming, I was just looking at the screen like, yo, don't do it. You don't have to do this, not this way. But I understand when you're feeling that type of pain. You know, I couldn't say that I would be a better person because I'd probably go for the same thing. But you have to double down because you're going to have to figure out who did this, because now that you realize that you're against basically the whole force, you're going to have to step your game up. I also want to touch on Ivan and Mina real quick, just before the jump. I'm glad that he's home, that they are reconnecting, getting that family vibe back together. I'm glad that they're starting to at least try to pick up where they left off. Of course, when he went into his coma, that was 8 years ago. So it's been a while, but I love that the love is still there. You know, he still cares for his daughters, he still cares for them, and they're doing their best to become a family again. Inside this, I really want to see how he moves with his daughter being an employee at Roxxon. Is he going to try to work with Tandy and work with her to bring them down? Is he just going to completely fall back? You know, what's his play here? Because he might say, I have to keep my daughter safe, but I have to get these guys, you know, that are in Roxxon out of there, because now my daughter just the simple fact of her working there puts her in danger. So I wonder how that plays out. Also, seeing how she reacted after her encounter with Tandy, stealing her hopes. Is she going to be interested in working at Roxxon, at least doing what she does anymore? After her stealing her hopes and seeing her complete shift and change on, of course, how she feels about B. Cleaver. So that's an interesting, I think that's going to play an interesting, role in how she shifts or turns, hopefully, in her role at Roxxon, and maybe if she cares about working there at all anymore. So guys, before I hit the jump, I do have a question for you. What to you makes a hero? Because of course the teacher asks it at way at the top of the show. What makes a hero to you? Is Tyrone a hero? Is Tandy a hero? Are we waiting to see? Is O'Reilly a hero? What makes a hero to you? And instead of giving heroes names, don't say what makes a hero Batman. Say, give me some characteristics. Is it truth? Is it honesty? Is it positivity? What's the kind of characteristics? What makes up a hero? But since we've covered, O'Reilly, the Hesses, now we got to get into Tyrone and Tandy after the jump. So first, KURO Brand is, of course, going to help us pay them bills. Oh yeah, check that link below. Hats, shirts, hoodies, all that jazz. And once you find something you like, of course, cop it. So what are we gonna do with Tyrone? How do you feel about Tyrone? How do you feel about his activity or his actions at school? I feel the hurt that's there because I do see him being treated a certain way since his brother passed. Nobody believed him when he was younger, and now he's like, hey, look, I told you guys. Y'all never believed me. And I'm sure you guys know, we've all gone through a moment where we feel like no one's believed us. And then we feel vindicated because it's like, we told you all this time, such and such and such. And now you finally believe me. But the parents seem to not care, at least until we get the reveal of them saying yo, we were scared. We've always been scared to lose you. We already lost one, but it would have been great to let your son know that he wasn't alone, because for all these years, he's felt crazy and he feels like he's finally proved it to you and you still just don't get it. I also like the fact that he's like, yo, if my parents aren't feeling it, I've got to speak to someone who can relate. And reaching out to Tandy and then seeing Tandy for what she is, for what's going on, him being the voice of reason or trying to be the voice of reason to bring her back. Because in this case, for better or for worse, they are linked and linked forever, basically. So, I hope that he's able to pull her back before the end of the season, because that's honestly not a guarantee. The way this show is going doesn't look like they're going to always wrap everything up in a bow for us. So he might not be able to bring her back to a place where she's comfortable in her skin without lashing out and taking it out on other people. I did want to give a shout out to Vita for standing up for her man at the time, talking about that little bony girl or whatever she called Tandy. That was funny. I love that moment. It was actually it was funny. I didn't expect it to happen because since they hadn't, shown all three of them in one scene, I was like, well, maybe they'll never cross paths. And now we found out Vita don't like Tandy. Oh, no. So lastly, I want to talk about Tandy, who, like Tyrone, is becoming destructive, with, being there with the teacher and fighting the teacher, fighting the kid, beating that kid. He beat the brakes off that kid. And then, of course, even swinging on the pastor. But now it seems like with her destruction, we're getting even worse because now she is not only hurting people like Tyrone, he punched that kid, I'm sure that hurt, but she's also getting high to try to kind of disassociate herself from life, from the world. And I think that's a very scary place to be in, especially when you're also alone. Taking on Liam back again, bringing him back into her life, lying to him like the second he gets out of jail, stealing his hopes. Like, she is really just crumbling the foundations of the people that actually care something about her and burning every bridge she can get to. I hope she can return, because I think she can be a lot better than she is. And I think she wants to be a lot better than she is. I think she's gonna regret that choice about the money with the father thing a lot sooner than later, but she's hurting right now. And I understand that hurt, but I just hope that she can bounce back, because there's a lot of work for her and Tyrone to do. And of course, as you saw with the aunt going around and warding off, I'm assuming warding off energy around the city, or protecting the city as she walked around and drawing the markings. They might be the only people that are able to protect the city the way the city needs to be protected. Whether it's from a threat from the people becoming like kind of like the evil zombies, or it's a threat coming from the police department itself. So Tandy, I see where her hurt comes from, but taking the hope and joy from other people is not going to make her feel better. And I think she's already recognizing that and realizing that, not only through her own eyes, but through Tyrone as well. So I want to see where they end up, of course, tomorrow night, because I like the show. I really do. The only thing I'd say that was whack about this episode was I feel like the pastor / fathers, I think they call him father. I think this is Catholic school. So I think the father, or the clergyman there, he was kind of whack to me. But I think they set him up to be whack, so when we saw his fear of the car crash, then we'd be like, oh, that's why he's whack. So guys, holla at me, I'ma holla at you. Down in them comments, let's talk Cloak and Dagger. I'm psyched. I can't wait to see what goes on next, what happens, and how they change or alter things. So before I bounce, I'm gonna tell you guys to hit up ThatNERDSoul.com. That's right, check me out right there. All my videos from the oldest, newest, latest, greatest, and all that. And hit up shop.ThatNERDSoul.com and pick yourself up a t-shirt player. Don't forget to get one for them playettes. Then come back here, like, comment, subscribe, and share that Nerd Soul. That's right, there's no better way that I can show people that you like what you are watching. So LA, what up? VA, what up? RVA, you got my heart. And please be good to yourselves. Please be good to each other. And remember, just because you're in a public bar doesn't mean the public is going to help you. Peace.